You said you did the commerce, right?
Yes.
But then commerce, then again copywriting, it's not a very obvious path, right? So
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Coming from commerce to being a copywriting, it was not planned. I just wanted to be creative side of things. That's how I started. And then, as luck had it, it just moved on.
So you spent considerable amount of your lifetime into this domain. And then how did you find out that this is it, I don't want to do it anymore, and then let's move into the digital analytics space? How did that shift happen?
Few times I've realized, that maybe it's not the job itself, it's the way the job is structured, the way the advertising life is structured. It is very unstructured creativity. And I realized it pretty well later in my life that I'm a kind of person who likes structured creativity, right? So I don't want to be in a place where everything is ad hoc or chaotic, right? I want some kind of resemblance, some kind of stage to fall back on. So that's when I realized that, maybe being in an ad agency will not be good for me in the long term. And second is I got married and my wife started asking me questions about, is this how life is going to be? I used to work for 2 days, 3 days. I used to be in the agency, sleeping on the floor or sleeping on the desk and trying to, churn out creative thoughts one after another. It kind of felt burning out after some point in time. So I said, maybe it's time for me to move from an ad world to maybe more of a corporate structure. But again, I was not sure whether I would give up on copywriting. There also I did that, and as luck had it, I was in SAP. This is I think around 2012.
Okay.
I was in SAP. I started doing my copywriting jobs there. I was doing emailers and events for the company's internal workforce. There was a time when they had web analytics integrated with Adobe Analytics. At that time, it was called Omniture. I think Omniture 15 or Omniture 14. I got a glimpse of Omniture at that point, and I was like very fascinated. I was like, man, this is magical, And that was my turning point when I moved into digital analytics as a profession. Again, it was not planned. I will be dishonest if I say I was planning to be there in long term. But yeah, it's been almost 15 years now in the space of digital analytics.
I think most successful careers aren't actually planned. These are often discovered.
Absolutely. I completely 100% agree with it. If someone tells you that, you should have a structured way of life or structured way of doing your career, maybe the person is not giving you the right guidance, because you never know what is going to happen tomorrow. So today I'm in this space, maybe tomorrow something else, but I'm pretty old now right now to change professions. So I would like to continue being a digital analyst.
Yes. And mostly these kind of roles, like you said, you are looking for a structured kind of career. And I think the digital analytics space, or like you said, you started with the web analytics space, which is again a subset of the overall digital analytics.
Absolutely.
That also, like, it comes from a structured thinking approach. There is a structure in the entire architecture of
it.
Right? Even I started with working with Omniture 15.1. So like there is a notion that you need to have an MBA and all to get into these kind of. I am personally I'm just like one of the 3 idiots, I guess. I did my engineering and MBA, and now I work for a bank, but not like as a cashier. So I do digital analytics and all. But the thing is, it is very much based on the structure and your understanding of the architecture and the entire output that the system provides. How valuable it is for the business. I think that's where, if you can see yourself doing that, running that, I think that's where your mojo.
If you lose a track of time doing something, that's your mojo. Right? When I am doing digital analytics, or when I'm doing architecting a solution for a client, or when I'm actually working in a place where I am really happy, I lose a track of time. I don't think whether it's going to be, it's not healthy, honestly. I don't want people to follow my way of working. But I lose a track of time. I just go deeper into it. I just want to get the best output. And that's what I believe, is the way to find your mojo. If you do something and you're happy about doing it, you don't care about time, you don't care about what place, you don't care about the equipment, it's just you and your work. I believe that's your mojo.
Yeah, that's what it should drive anybody. Can you just explain in your terms, right, what exactly is this digital analytics? Or you mentioned about web analytics. So what exactly is this web analytics?
So it's in a simple terms, it is nothing else but, getting a deeper understanding of your audience, people who come to your website or people who come to your app or people who are interacting with your services. Like in today's world, if you see, there's hardly any company or hardly any organization or corporate which can survive without having a web presence or an app presence or even a data presence, right? So everywhere you see people, every year you see companies are investing huge amounts of money in understanding their visitors. Why are they doing that? It is because they want to understand their customers better. And digital analytics is that mirror, or is that view that you get of your audience. So you get to understand your audience better. You get to know how they are behaving. You're able to predict what are they going to do next, right? Which is, I believe, if you look at it, it fascinates me, right? If I'm able to predict that Shri is going to come to my website and is going to buy this, I will be able to serve Shri better than, just understanding some random visitor who maybe just browsing on the website.
You don't have any context.
Exactly. Right? The context is what drives, or context is what digital analytics is all about. It just doesn't tell you that, okay, this is the behavior. It also tells you why. It gives you tools to understand the context behind why someone is doing what they're doing.
The goal.
Someone who's able to buy $10,000 worth of goods on my website and he just doesn't buy it. It's a loss for me. Right? So digital analytics gives you that view of that visitor and say, okay, maybe there's something that is blocking him genuinely, or maybe he's just a casual browser. That's fine. So I think digital analytics is not just data, it is the context behind the data. And that is something that, as architects, we surface it up so that companies, corporates can use it for their benefit.
Right. So if someone today, they want to start with this kind of a domain, right? Where do they even start?
Oh, that's a very fascinating question. I think I'm the wrong person to set an example.
We have really thought about whom to get in our podcast. So
So where to start? I think today there are so many tools, there are so many avenues, there are so many places where a person could start. One thing I will definitely want to clear to people is, don't get too carried away by having a very defined way of getting into this digital analytics space. You should be very fascinated with the whole web space. You should understand the finer nuances of things. You should understand why people are doing certain things. I think that's where my copywriting job skill comes into picture. And I always tell that to a lot of my friends and my colleagues and my people working with me. No amount of skill goes waste. Right? I have been a copywriter where I learned how to understand people. And that part, I bring it into my job. So if you want to get into a space of digital analytics, or if you want to get into a space of web analytics, you should start understanding by who is that person that you're talking to? Who is that person who is coming to your website? First, get an understanding of that. Try to maybe work with a friend who has maybe a website, or maybe work with someone who has some small businesses. Try to convince that person to give you. I started my career in the field of digital analytics by becoming a web analyst for my brother-in-law's website.
Okay.
I just told him that you have a website. I want to learn digital analytics. He gave me the access to it. I slapped Google Analytics on top of it.
The free version.
The free version. On it, I started, creating insights, and that gave me more and more confidence that I could emulate the same thing for my company, which was SAP at that point in time. So again, you have to start finding your way into it. No one's going to come and tell you, here's your project. Here's your money.
Agreed.
Work on it. Give us the insights. No one is going to give you do that. Another very important thing, and this is something that I've seen most people get blocked, is by they join some small, training institutes who will say, okay, I'll teach you the world of web analytics. I don't see there is any point in doing that unless until that company or that place really, gives you that real life experience. I can also create a website, and today, I think with the whole agentic AI, I can create a website in 1 hour. While I'm doing this podcast, I can go and create a website and show it to someone, right? Put a digital analytics tracking into it.
Even I, at certain point, I did touch Google Analytics, and I slapped it into my MBA college website just to get some more cookie points from my directors and all that. It was my informal kind of
introduction.
So that really happened, and I'm pretty much happy that I did that. I mean, when I look back, right? So what kind of skills kind of actually matters versus what people perceive that matters?
There are 2 points to the whole aspect of analytics world, at least as far as I know. One is, of course, the business side of things, and one is the technical side of things, right? So if you're a person who likes dabbling in technical languages or technical side of things, and you just want to get deeper and deeper into it, then I believe you should, of course, have at least basic minimum understanding of the languages that are used to create a website, HTML and other stuff. You should at least have a good understanding of JavaScript, because JavaScript still drives web analytics. Of course, having a deeper knowledge like React and React.js helps you a lot. But I think at least the bare minimum, you should at least have understanding of JavaScript and how to write custom code, how to create methods to get a best understanding. And if you want to be in the business side of things, then I believe having a way of understanding of business, in this case, like maybe an MBA can help. Okay, I'm not an MBA, so I can't definitely vouch for it, but at least I have seen in my company a lot of MBAs, a lot of graduates from business schools who are really good with data surfacing insights. They come and they become the business consultants. So at least bare minimum, you should have this kind of skills.
Yes.
MBA for a business consulting, and if you're a technical, then maybe MC or maybe engineering can help. If you look at me as my example, I never had.
That's what I was coming to. Like, you are yourself an example that you don't need to belong to the traditional path of education to get into this domain. Like, I think it goes with most of the computer science and the IT relevant streams where you are not actually blocked by your formal education.
Right.
You can actually study, and like you said, lots of avenues are there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't even now need to go to YouTube. Even when we started, I think YouTube was also a rare thing. We didn't used to get content we wanted.
Right.
But now there is ChatGPT, you don't even need to go to YouTube. You still can learn, upscale, and then get into these kind of domains. That's a great part of this kind of a domain. Also, like you spoke about, like the 2 pointers, that either is the business side is more interesting to you, or the technical part. My take would be that if you have a bit of business understanding and a bit of technicality, you're tech savvy, and you come from a education where you can grab. Maybe you can upskill yourself. I'm not saying that you need to be a developer.
Absolutely.
That's not a mandate. But if you know both, you are in a better position.
Srinath, when I started working for SAP, I was a web analyst. I was on the business side of things. I started seeing a lot of problems on the way the implementation was done. I don't know which company or which agency was working with SAP at that point in time. I started seeing a lot of problems on that, and that also gave me a insight. Can I also look at the technical side of things? Again, the point is you have to keep your mind open. You can't be just saying, okay, I'll only do this technical side of things or only business side of it. Because as you grow up in your career, right, you need to understand the overall picture, the complete holistic view of things. Just saying I'm only going to be a technical might help you, but it might also make you redundant soon. Right? So as a technical architect, my job is not to just do coding. My job is also understand the business, understand the fears driving the business, understand the KPIs. For that, I think a business analyst hat is important. So you need to keep running multiple hats. Take one hat out, put another one, and then maybe something else, maybe also important is your communication skills have to be really good. You can't show confidence when you're talking to a client, because the client is dependent on you. Right? So you're trying to help the client make successful. And for him or her to be successful, you have to be confident that and they're looking up to you. And so communication skills is definitely one of the underlying factor, whether it doesn't matter whether you're a technical person or a business person, you need to have really good communication skills. And for that, I believe you should definitely practice talking or giving speeches and giving talks, at least in front of your family, so that you get that confidence in your speech.
I keep on saying and emphasizing on the same fact that this is a semi-technical, semi-business kind of function. Successful businesses are trying to address a real-life business problem and finding a tech solution doing that. So you're bridging the gap. And you are actually on the bridge.
Right? You are the one creating the bridge.
Right. So there is no chance that you can survive without a good articulation of your thoughts. Confidence in showing that this is the strategy.